remember a book that I had as a child. Maybe you had a copy of this at home, too, if you're my age-ish. I'm sure it was purchased through the Scholastic book order, and it was called something like, If You Were a Child on the Mayflower. Did anyone have a book like that? Oh, yes, thank you. And each page was about a different part of life. There was a page about the kinds of clothes you would have worn, what foods you would have eaten, what games you would have played if you were a pilgrim child. I loved that book. I read it over and over and over again. I loved imagining myself at different points in history. And being a pilgrim girl seemed like a fun thing to be. You got to ride in a boat, explore a new place, eat a big meal with friendly native people. I know now that the stories I was told about the first Thanksgiving were not true. My kids have been told different stories, but most adults, especially non-Indigenous adults, were told a pretty myth about pilgrims coming to an unknown land, meeting native people, and sharing a happy meal together. And that story got linked to a holiday about gratitude. I struggle with the holiday of Thanksgiving. I've heard from Indigenous friends and colleagues that Thanksgiving is a day of sadness and loss. Reverend Isabel Call, a UU minister, calls it Thanksgrieving. And at the same time, I have a lot of really lovely memories of family Thanksgivings with my parents and grandparents and everyone around the table. I also really love the idea of gratitude and having a holiday centered around giving thanks. One thing that we as UUs pride ourselves in is our ability to see different perspectives. Pluralism is one of our values, and we're usually really good at that in our heads. We can think about things, we can talk about things, we can lecture one another about things. UUs as a whole have been less good about feeling different perspectives. Now, I'm not saying that any of you individuals are unfeeling, but our focus historically has been more head than heart. So what if, as the kids say, and my children are going to cringe when they hear me say this, what if, as the kids say, we get in our feels about Thanksgiving? What if we feel our feelings? For me, when I start to think about the oppression and genocide of Native people, the story behind the story of Thanksgiving, I feel horrified. I feel disgusted. I feel sad. Sometimes I feel ashamed. These are not comfortable feelings. I don't like these feelings. And I have a couple choices. To be specific, white privilege gives me a couple choices. I could ignore those negative feelings. I could pretend that they don't exist, and I could go about my Thanksgiving making my pies and having fun with my family and ignoring that entire nasty business that I don't want to think about. I could become overwhelmed and decide that I don't want to deal with any of this. I could demand that history books be rewritten so that no one ever has to feel uncomfortable about topics that make me feel sad. Or I could engage. I could learn and take steps to make amends in whatever ways are available to me. I choose to engage, which means that I have to actually feel those feelings. Those hard, sad feelings, because I know that I can't engage in anti-oppressive work from a place that is all head. My heart has to be in it, too. And that is hard for me at Thanksgiving, because it's hard to mix those sad feelings with the joyous feelings I have on a holiday when I'm with my family expressing gratitude. But if we are going to feel our feelings, we've got to feel all of them. The sadness and joy, the horror and wonder, the pain and pleasure. It's not easy, but it is possible. So this Thanksgiving, I will spend some time hearing stories from Native people whose ancestors were displaced. I will engage with the feelings that come up, and I will commit to continuing the work. And I will also share a festive meal with my family, and we will express gratitude, and I will feel those feelings too. In a moment, we are going to have our pumpkin and cider communion. We will thank the earth. We will notice our interdependent connection with one another. We will express gratitude for our lives. I encourage you to not only listen to the words with your minds, but to also engage your heart. Feel the gratitude. Feel the connection. We're sitting in a circle today, so you can see the members of your community. Feel the feelings. Amen.